Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this the open session of this council meeting. And I will ask JP to give our clerk to give the procedures for tonight. Mr. Clerk.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And as we do with our electronic meetings, I'll start with roll call. Councillor Watton, are you present with us this evening?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor McDougall.
Yes, present, JP. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Guido.
I'm here. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Ross.
Present. Thank you.
Councillor Kiesebrink, are you with us? Okay,
She may be
Madam Mayor,
having technical.
Yeah, I think Councillor
Go ahead.
Councillor Kiesebrink's not quite with us yet, but I do intend her to be here at some point, so I'll let you know about that. Councillor Brown.
Present.
Thank you very much. And staff present this evening, again, I would just go through them in alphabetical order. By first name, Adam Dubecki is with us, Amy Coughlin, Carol Coleman, Chief Administrative Officer Kenneth Nix, Kevin Arsenault, Kevin Heritage, Laurie Bowers, Fire Chief Mark Burney, Rob Frasca, and Terry Barton and myself are all present at the meeting this evening. I will ask all those attending in this meeting to please mute your mic while not talking. This will avoid any background noise that may occur where you are and will avoid any echo in the audio. Please use headphones if they're available to you. It'll again improve audio quality. If you would like to speak, please put your hand up using the hand up feature. The mayor will then call upon you when it is your turn to speak. For council members, if you leave your computer, please let the mayor know so that quorum can continue to be met. When moving or seconding a motion, please again use the hand up feature and the mayor will call out who is the mover and seconder. This meeting is being recorded and live streamed to the Township's YouTube channel. We will be using an electronic voting process during tonight's meeting. At the appropriate times, we'll announce that the voting is open and council members will be asked to make a selection. Once everyone has voted, I will announce that the voting is closed. If for any reason a council member is unable to vote, please announce your vote verbally and say in favor or against. The electronic voting system stops working for any reason, we will revert back to the mayor asking each member for their vote. Thank you, Madam Mayor. That concludes my opening statement.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk, and I'll now call for a moment of silence. Thank you. Scugog is situated on treaty land that is steeped in rich Indigenous history. Today, we acknowledge that we are gathering on the traditional territories of the Mississaugas of Scugog Island First Nation. We recognize and deeply appreciate the historic Indigenous connection to this land and recognize the contributions First Nations, Métis, and Inuit peoples have made, both in shaping and strengthening this community in particular, our province, and country as a whole. We're grateful for the opportunity to meet here, and we thank all the generations of people who have taken care of this land for thousands of years. Thank you. Are there any disclosures of pecuniary interest?
Madam Mayor, Director Neumann, if I could just mention that Councillor Kiesebrink has joined us. Councillor Kiesebrink, are you present with us?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any disclosures of pecuniary interest? Seeing none, I apologize for the lateness of starting tonight's meeting. We had a closed session with pretty extensive business to deal with, and I'm delighted to say that following the recommendation being approved by council, and here is the motion, that the collective agreement with the Scugog Professional Firefighters Association, Local 4679, and the Township of Scugog appended as attachment 2 to report CONF 2020-011 be ratified, and that the changes to the collective agreement be approved, and that a bylaw to ratify the agreement be brought forward for adoption. Could I have a mover, please? Councillor Watton, Councillor Ross. Can we call the vote, please, Mr. Clerk?
Madam Mayor, the voting is now open. Seeing that everyone has voted, I'm closing the vote now. And results should be on screen for you now.
And that is carried unanimously. And I want to express our thanks to both negotiating teams on either side of the table for coming to an agreement amicably. And I think it's a win-win situation, and we look forward to working together with professional firefighters over the next 4 years. So thank you very much. Further, in committee in camera, Council received and gave direction on a staff report on the status of the 2 agreements, that being the lease agreement for the Port Perry grain elevator and the fire and roads maintenance agreement. And moving on, and thank you very much to staff for the extensive work that went into that. Announcements from council and staff. Members of council, do you have any announcements? Councillor Keesebreen.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The Blackstock Nursery School can't hold their popular and vital Breakfast with Santa annual fundraising event. So instead, they're going to have an online auction fundraiser. They are a nonprofit organization licensed with the Ontario Ministry of Education. They operate out of the Blackstock Recreational Complex for over 43 years. People can go to their website, blackstocknurseryschool.ca, to place their bid for wonderful items. Bids are open until December 6th, and then winners will be contacted the next day. And also, Scugog Arts has an online Christmas market available through January 2nd, where local artists have come together to bring a warm and wonderful collection of art and fine crafts for people to purchase for stocking stuffers and gifts. So go to shopscugogarts.ca.
Thank you. Are there any other members of council that have an announcement? Seeing none, I'd just like to, it's Councillor Watton. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Sorry for the slow hand. I just wanted to remind both shoppers and vendors, or shoppers and retail owners, that Durham Region has a Shop Durham marketplace that's being launched. And if as a retailer, if you haven't already signed up, you can go to shopdurhamregion.ca and sign up, and you will be given a passport. And if you are a interested shopper, you can do the same and just ask to be advised when the site is fully launched. They describe it as Durham Region's very own Amazon. So it's one-stop shopping, just as you would on Amazon. So hopefully our retailers will take advantage of this free service, and especially in light of us now being in the red zone, and hopefully it will help them with their sales, and it will also keep our residents safe because they can order all online. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
That's good news. The region is doing a lot of good work with our retailers and our local businesses to help with the economy and help everyone survive. And as we move into the red level, and there will be more information about that a little later, we certainly do appreciate the work that the region is doing, and we certainly encourage all businesses to take advantage of that, and also to our residents and visitors to the Scugog Township, please shop locally. It's good for all of us. I got a couple of announcements. Normally at this time of year, we're hosting a celebration of thanks to our volunteers on our advisory committees, our hall boards, and other committees. And unfortunately, we're not able to have this celebration this year. So I would like to express sincere appreciation of council and staff for the time and commitment the volunteers for Scugog have provided to the township. You will see in this agenda minutes of many of the committees our volunteers serve on, and the many examples of excellent advice and feedback provided by the people to our community. So once again, a very warm and sincere thank you so much. Also, at this time of year, we are gearing up for the Mayor's Levy and Appreciation Awards and the Honor Roll. And we are in the process of providing an alternative program and recognizing Scugog heroes during the pandemic. And there will be a lot of information on that in the upcoming days. It may be up there right now on our website. So please take advantage of that. And if you have a local hero that has done something pretty extraordinary for you or your family or for the community, please post it, and everybody will celebrate with you. So thank you very much. And I have Chief Bernie, who has an announcement. So please, Chief Bernie.
Thank you, Mayor Drew. If I may, I'd like to speak to COVID-19. And as you're all aware that today at 12:01 a.m., we in the region of Durham and the township of Scugog moved into the red control level. And of course, this is as a result of COVID-19 once again raising its ugly head to the population or the citizens around the world, really. And it's affecting us and our ability to provide levels of services that our customers and our residents are typically accustomed to, and a number of those changes are occurring in both our recreation facilities, at our municipal offices, and at our fire administration offices as well. At both the municipal offices and the fire administration offices, we've moved to an appointment required type of interaction with the public and our customers. We encourage those who need to come to town hall to make arrangements through a host at town hall, through email, telephone, or perhaps even through an electronic meeting. It's so important now that we really, as a community, bear down and really practice our social distancing and stick to our bubbles, if I may, that the people that we interact with on a regular basis daily, and take the necessary precautions, whether it be at home or at work, and wear masks when you come out of that work zone, or facial coverings, or when you go shopping, or go for a walk into the community. COVID-19 is relentless, and in this season now it is spreading unbelievably. Continuing to wash our hands and practice hygiene, after touching surfaces, is unbelievable. Recognizing how to remove your mask safely or your face covering safely and not contaminate potentially yourself or others around you. It's so very important. As I said, there's been an effect to how we deliver programs and services at our recreation facilities, and I encourage our residents to go onto our website and look at how our measurements, as a result of being in the red control level, have impacted how we enjoy life right now, and look to the Regent's website as well, and Dr. Kyle and the measures that he's put on us as well to protect us and get us over this hurdle, so that we can hopefully enjoy a holiday season that we all look forward to. Thank you, Mayor Drew. That is it for me.
Thank you, Chief Bernie. And I just want to say to you, Chief Bernie, who heads up the Emergency Control Group, and all of the staff and council, to thank you so much for turning around on a dime sometimes to make sure that we are following the rules, and that we are providing services as much as usual, and with as little inconvenience to our public as possible. Your efforts and the efforts of all of staff are very much appreciated by us, and I just want you to know that. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor Drew.
Director Coleman.
Thank you, Mayor Drew. As you're all aware, if you have a window nearby, we had our first significant snow event of the season. And overall, the maintenance went very well. Our staff came in for a 4 a.m. start this morning, and all routes were completed well within the provincial standards. We did receive some questions about why parking lots are done before all of the sidewalks have been completed. And it really is because the best practice is to do the parking lots before there's any cars in them. It takes significantly longer to do it once there's cars there. And also the parking lots are very important for the businesses, especially in the downtown area. The sidewalks can't be completed as quick as we would like. We currently have 2 sidewalk plows and we have 27 kilometers of sidewalks. And that amount of sidewalk that we maintain. And each route that we have, the 2 routes, takes about 5 hours to complete. And that varies a lot. If there's significantly more snow or ice, it can take even longer than that. But we're always looking for ways to improve things. As you know, this year we added a 4th staff member to help with some of the parking lot salting, and they can also help with the sidewalks. We have in the 2021 capital budget a 3rd sidewalk plow so that we can get to sidewalks quicker. And there's a report in tonight's agenda about a trial to use seasonals for parking lots and to assist other staff instead of using a contractor this year. Our biggest challenges right now, up to now, we've only had 3 staff that are available. Now we have 4. But if one staff member is sick or if they are on vacation, this is a significant impact and things take longer. In the case of yesterday's snowfall event, one staff had his first child last night was born. So it's a very exciting reason why he's off, but that meant that we were down to 3 staff this morning for the snow event. And with COVID, it's going to be even more difficult because we are asking staff to stay home if they have any COVID symptoms at all. So even if someone has a common cold, they will be asked to stay home. And so we'll all need to be very patient during this pandemic because the response time for snowstorms will take longer because of that.
Okay, thank you very much. Director Coleman, would you like to comment on cars that are parked on the streets while snow removal is in process?
Thank you, Mayor Drew, for bringing that up. Cars make it very much more challenging. Just like parking lots, cars are hard to go around. They're also very hard on the streets, and they leave windrows in tough places, and it makes it even hard for those cars to get out. So please, residents, everyone should not park on the roads during the winter, and we do have a bylaw against that, and you will be ticketed, but we ask that you just not do it and let our snowplows do their work.
You bet. Thank you very much, Director Coleman. Director Heritage.
Thank you, Mayor Drew. I would like to remind everyone that tomorrow the township is conducting 3 workshop sessions for the waterfront plan. Space is still available at all 3 sessions, and they're taking place from 1 till 2:30. The second session is 3:30 till 5, and the third and final session is from 6:30 to 8 o'clock. And what we'll be discussing is an emerging preferred plan. And anyone that's interested in registering for one of the 3 workshops, please visit my.scugog.ca. Now, the township is seeking public input on an emerging preferred plan, and the preferred plan will lead to a recommended plan that will be presented to council in the new year. Thank you, Mayor Drew.
Thank you, Director Heritage. And how do we get on that site? What's the?
It's on the township's website, and it's my.scugog.ca to register for any one of the 3 sessions.
Thank you very much, and I hope as many people as possible take advantage of that, because this project, I can't remember ever having so much community input on projects that we have done, and we want to get it right. So please make sure that we get your input. Thank you very much. And again, to Director Coleman, our thanks to the work staff and the park staff that are working on sidewalks and so on for all of the work that they did over the first major snowstorm of the season. And I know my street was done, I think, by 9 o'clock. So That's great. And I'm basically on a side street in Port Perry. So my congratulations and thanks. We move now to the consent agenda. And I have 10.1.9 pulled and 10.2.1 and 10.2.2 pulled. Are there any other pulls?
10.1.7 and 0.8, please. Councillor Kiesebrink.
10.1.8. Okay, thank you. For the rest, could I have a motion, please, to approve the recommendations on the rest of the items? Councillor Watton and Councillor Kiesebrink. Is that correct? Or did you get your hand down again?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Watton and Councillor Kiesebrink. No other polls. Mr. Clerk, will you call the question, please?
Madam Mayor, did you want 10.3.1 as well, which is the correspondence?
I'm sorry, that's mine. Yes, please. And the bylaws are all passed. Okay. Yes, would you call the questions, please?
Yes, Madam Mayor, I'm just checking that box. And voting is coming up now. Seeing that everyone has voted, I'm closing the vote now, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. And that is carried unanimously. Thank you very much. We'll move now to 10.1.7, the BIA board, and that is pulled by Councillor Kiesebrink. That's on page 46.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I appreciate these minutes. I just wanted to congratulate the BIA for all their efforts. Their Fresh Air, Fresh Finds campaign was so wonderful. Great ideas, beautiful design for the Escapism magazine. I did want to ask, and perhaps the councillor for the BIA will be able to respond, but it mentions in the minutes that they were looking at possibly getting the huts that were used in the American Gods movie, getting permission to use them, make them safe. And I guess, especially now that we've gone back into the red zone and we have more people that have to wait outside, I'm just wondering what the status is on being able to use those.
Councillor Brown, have you got an answer for that? Because I think if you don't, Ms. Bowers does.
Okay, well, through you, Madam Mayor, I don't have an update. I can get one, but I don't have one with me.
Okay. Ms. Bowers, are you prepared to answer that tonight?
Yes, Madam Mayor, I can certainly try. Through you to Councillor Kiesebrink. The American God huts, as you know, were donated to us in the hopes that we would be able to use them for an open air market, a Winterfest themed market. COVID has kind of put a little bit of a delay on some of the logistic and research that needed to be done through staff. In particular, they are designed for a movie set, and they need to be inspected, if you will, and shored up for proper public use, as an example of one of the items that we need to research. So this task is going to be sitting with the Tourism Advisory Committee. I'm the staff on that committee, and we're going to continue to work to try and figure out a plan for next winter. So at the moment, they won't be ready for this winter, but there will be a plan in place for next time.
Ms. Bowers, correct me if I'm wrong, but do we have to wait until the series has been aired on TV? And I'm not sure if that's happened yet, or if you have any details on when that would happen.
Yes, Madam Mayor, that was a condition, one of the conditions. But as I understand, that condition was going to be lifted, and I only learned that recently simply because the Toronto Zoo reached out. American Gods production team gave them my contact information, and they were looking to make use of those huts for a winter market at the zoo this year. So lo and behold, I found out that we are able to use them, but a little bit late for us.
Yes, yes. Okay, that's great. Thank you very much. Further, Councillor Kiesebrink?
No, that's all. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Watton?
Sorry, had Lori not answered, I was going to. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. If there are no other questions or comments, Mr. Clerk, can you call the question, please, on the recommendation?
Madam Mayor, I apologize if I missed it. Was the mover and seconder called?
I'm sorry. You're correct. I haven't. I was thinking it would be same mover, same seconder, but yes, I got Councillor Watton and Councillor McDougall up there to move it and second it. Is that correct? Councillor Watton and Councillor.
That's correct. Thank you.
That is correct. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Voting is open now, Madam Mayor. Seeing that everyone has voted, I'm closing the vote, and it should be on screen for you.
Thank you, and that is carried unanimously. And we'll move now to 10.1.8. Councillor Kiesebrink, how about we do this first? Are you willing to make the motion to receive the?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Seconder, please. Seconder? Councillor Brown. And that is on page 67 of your agenda. And Councillor Kiesebrink, your question, please.
Well, thank you, Madam Mayor. I was just wondering what the status is on getting a BIA representative for the Healthy Lake Scugog Steering Committee. I noticed that we still don't have one.
I'm not sure. I know that the request has gone. I believe the request has gone out. Director Coleman, do you have any insight into this?
Madam Mayor, it's Director Newman. I can respond if you wish.
Yes, please.
We've been asking the BIA for a representative for, I believe, since the beginning of the year, and one has still not been put forward. So we continue to ask, but we haven't been provided with a name as yet.
Councillor Brown, maybe you could give them a nudge on that.
I can do that.
Thank you. Councillor Kiesebrink, further?
No, that's all, Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Clerk, can you call the question, please?
Voting is open, Madam Mayor. Seeing that everyone has voted, I'm closing the vote now, and results should be on screen.
Thank you, and that is carried. The next item I pulled 10.1.9, and it was just that, you know, as I said at the beginning of this meeting, how much we appreciate our advisory committees and the insight and the advice that they give us. If you look on page 76, going on for several pages there, we asked for their comments on the secondary suites. And they have delved into this extensively, and this is exactly why our advisory committees are so important. This is exactly what we're looking for. The amount of consideration that this was given, and research, and the knowledge that these members have is so valuable to us. So I just wanted to. I know that this probably took a lot of work, and I just wanted to recognize it and to thank them for that. So that's all on that. And could I have a mover and seconder for that report, that minutes? Councillor Kiesebrink, Councillor Watton. Any other questions or comments on that? Seeing...
Yes, if I could, Madam Mayor.
Yes, please go ahead.
Thank you. Because the guide by rights shouldn't be approved by council until Scugog zoning bylaw is amended to reflect the revisions of the province's Planning Act to facilitate the secondary suites. I know the pandemic has put a huge pinch on a lot of the work that we had originally planned for this year, but I'm just wondering if Director Heritage could maybe give us an idea on maybe a revised timeline for when this update can be achieved?
Director Heritage?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through the councillor, yes, this item is a high priority, one of the high priorities that we're dealing with, and will be dealt with in the new year.
Oh, wonderful. And further, if I could, through you, Madam Mayor, is part of our update going to include the update for secondary suites and accessory buildings, like adjacent garage buildings, for example, not just in the self-contained spaces inside a house, provided that the Ontario Building Code requirements are being met?
Through you, Madam Mayor, to the councillor, yes, that's one of the components of the new legislation. So that will be incorporated in our review and the official plan.
Further,
Well,
Council?
that's awesome. And I just want to echo your sentiments, Mayor, to thank the Scugog Housing Committee, because this is going to allow seniors to stay in their homes and help in-laws and parents and other people who need to be together, especially at this time. It's very critical. So thank you very much to everyone who participated in this.
Thank you. Councillor Watton.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just wanted to say I will be sure to pass on everyone's sentiments to the Housing Committee. We have asked Director Heritage and Fire Chief Bernie to come to our January meeting so we can have a fulsome review of our comments and what is contained in the secondary suite guidelines. But I remind everyone that this guideline initiated as a project to try and get people, to try and help the fire department assess where secondary suites were and who was in them and how to access them. So there is much work to be done, and I know it's tied into the official plan and various zoning things and so on and so forth. But this is more of a guideline for that, as opposed to I think what Councillor Kiesebrink is thinking. I didn't read it or understand it to be. I mean, it will help frame the comments, but ultimately, our goal as the Housing Committee at this point in time is to try and get people to come forward and let the fire department know that they have a secondary suite so that we can keep all our residents safe. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. It's all about safety and security for our residents and the knowledge of our building department and also our fire department. So thank you again. I see no other questions or comments, so I will ask the clerk. Did we get a mover and seconder for that, Mr. Clerk?
Yes, Madam Mayor, we did.
Okay, thank you. Could you call the vote, please?
Voting is now open. Seeing that everyone has voted, I'm closing the vote now. And results should be on screen for you.
Thank you, and that is carried unanimously. We'll now move to 10.2.1, and Councillor Brown and Councillor Guido pulled this one. I think Councillor Brown was the first to get on the list. So Councillor Brown, are you willing to make the motion?
I am.
Okay, Councillor Guido, are you willing to second it?
Yes, Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Please go ahead, Councillor Brown.
Thank you, and through you, Madam Mayor, to either Mr. Frasca or Director Coleman, on page 3 of 6 of your report, it's talking about the Shanley Street condominiums, and I know there's been a water issues there for some time. I want to ask where we're at as regards the water, which seems to pool at the base of the building, at the back of the building. I was given the impression some time ago that the owner was working on solutions, so if I can get an update from either one of you, that would be great, please.
Director Coleman or Mr.
Yes.
Frasca? Go ahead.
Yes, Mayor Drew, I can answer that. So there's deficiencies there from the original construction of the condominium, and we have a holdback for those deficiencies. We've been in contact with the owner of the property and earlier in 2020, and they were going to come up with a plan of how to repair it. We haven't heard from them since then, and so I will follow up with them again to see how the plan is coming together. If in the future that they don't repair it, we do have some holdback money that we can use to make some repairs at that location.
Okay, great. I know that the repairs required are extensive. On the same page, page 3 of 6, you're talking about the downtown removal. Again, I'm not sure who to direct this to, but I just want to make the point, if we can ask that the garbage cans are properly accessed so we don't have plows blocking the opening with windrows, because it's not the first time, and hopefully it's the last, that it's been mentioned at the BIA meeting that they can't access the garbage cans, the people who need to clean them out, and so they're overflowing. So I'll just throw that at you. I presume you're aware of that.
Director?
Yes, through the mayor to the councillor, we are aware of that issue. It's an ongoing problem with the snowbanks in the downtown, but our staff do their best to try to make sure that the area around the garbage cans are maintained so that they can be opened and emptied by the contractor.
And further to that, regarding the snowbanks, then, if I may, Director, who makes the call on when the snow is removed? And is it during a snowstorm? Is it before the snowstorm? How do you line that up?
Through you, Madam Mayor, to the councillor, it's fairly expensive each time we have a contractor come in to remove the snowbanks. So we have to be very, we have to be very careful about when we do it. So we're not going to do it in the middle of a snowstorm, because the snow is just going to keep piling up, or before a snowstorm. So we look for a time when, so if the banks are getting to a certain height where they need to be removed, we'll look at the forecast. And if the forecast shows that there's going to be another big snow event in a few days, we're not going to go and remove them then, because the snow there'll still be snow there. And likewise, if there's a big thaw event coming up in the next few days, we'll let Mother Nature do the work instead of us. But if the snowbanks get to a certain height and there's no big events in the near future, that's a good time for us to go in and take the snowbanks away.
Okay, thank you. That's all for me.
Just further to that, on the main street there, will you be doing cutouts regularly so that people can access the stores without having to walk a block?
Yes, Madam Mayor, we do cutouts at a fairly regular basis, but we can't do them in front of every business. So if business owners want to add their own cutouts to it, that's great.
Yeah, thank you very much. Any further questions? Councillor McDougall.
Yes, thank you, Madam. Sorry, yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm not sure if Councillor Guido was first.
Go ahead, Councillor McDougall.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. I just had a question on this report with regards to the number of bidders that were providing pricing on this. And I'm not sure who to direct that to, perhaps Mr. Frasca. I noticed that I think there was only 2 bidders that participated in this program. How come we didn't see more?
Through you, Madam Mayor, we had 12 plan takers on this initial bid, and only 2 responded. When I've tried to contact some of the landscaping companies and private businesses just to see if there was any reason why, they just felt like they couldn't be competitive and they couldn't meet the demands. And many of them are getting out of snow plowing because of the high insurance costs. So I couldn't find any other contractors that would be interested to put in a bid.
Further, Councillor McDougall?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. I guess the question is, so this is an additional staff person that we are hiring for this position? Is that how I'm reading this report?
Yes, we are proposing 2 seasonal staff that would work between the winter season to help with the snow clearing. So this would alleviate the use of the contractor, and we would do the full removal on our own.
Thank you. And further, if I might, Madam Mayor, will these 2 seasonal staff members, will they assist in the plowing of the multi-use path that's on Simcoe Street, I believe, and Old Rail Lane as well?
Through you, Madam Mayor, yes, this season we've included the Old Rail Trail as an addition to our plow routes, And we've also added the newly constructed multi-use path on Simcoe as well on both sides, the east and the west side.
Further, Councillor McDougall?
No, very good. That's all. Thank you very much, Madam Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you, Manager Frasca.
Mr. Frasca, that's really good news that you're doing those trails and the walking paths. They're paved now. People want to get out and exercise and get some fresh air, and it's an excellent opportunity to do so. So thank you. Councillor Guido, you are next. I'm sorry if it was out of turn, but Councillor McDougall's name was above yours, and it's supposed to be in order here. So please go ahead, Councillor Guido.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, I had requested this pulled as well as Councillor Brown, so that's okay. I'm happy to wait my turn. And Councillor Brown did ask one of my questions, but I do have a follow-up question in regards to the hiring of the seasonal staff. On page 6 of 6, it adds that this additional staff will assist in other work areas as waste collection, tree trimming, removal, and coverage of vacations, which is great during winter months. What do we consider winter months? Is it the November? Well, November's past, so December through to March when our snow clearing ends?
Mr. Pascal?
Yep, through you, Madam Mayor. Typically, our winter season begins November 15th to the end of April. So we're looking for the coverage between that season. And sorry, I'm not sure if that was all you've asked.
Yep, no, that's my question. Thank you. So
Okay.
with the hiring of these seasonal staff, our residents will see what benefit?
Director Coleman or Mr. Frasca?
I can speak. Through you, Madam Mayor. So these two staff will help with the snow removal in the parking lot. So they will replace the contractors' use through heavy and significant snowstorms. For example, 10 centimeters and higher accumulation. They will remain within the parking lots helping with the full removal, so we don't have to rely on other sources for snow. During a regular winter season, like winter storm that we had, for example, this weekend, they would be able to help our existing staff right now with the snow clearing so they can dispatch the sidewalks much sooner. So we'd have a sidewalk staff and possibly a third sidewalk plow equipment that could be dispatched in addition to what we have right now. So it's during the significant snowstorms where we would have the coverage issues, but during a regular snowstorm, we would be able to increase our service levels a little bit and provide better coverage.
Wonderful, thank you. And further, if I may, here's hoping that we don't have many winter events that require the plowing. Currently, who is doing the waste collection and tree trimming and removal that they will be able to help with? Is that existing staff or is that contracted work as well?
Through you, Madam Mayor, that is completed by existing staff as well. We do that in between our snow plowing routes in the winter. So in the mild season, when things seem to slow down in winter, staff get back to the parks and look at garbage bins and maintain trimming as required.
Oh, perfect. Thank you. So if with these two additional staff, we may see an increase in the amount of trees that we're able to trim or other jobs that would normally be done by the existing staff then, is that correct?
Through you, Madam Mayor, yes. The idea is that the additional staff through mild winters will still have work as well.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Mr. Frasca.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Councillor Watton.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you to Mr. Frasca. Based on, first off, let me ask a question. How many staff did we have doing the snow clearance last year in addition to the contractor, or did we have any for parking lots and sidewalks?
Through you, Madam Mayor, are you referring to town staff, full-time staff?
To whoever we had in addition to a contractor that would clean sidewalks or the parking lots?
Okay. As of last season, we had 3 full-time staff that assisted with some parking lot cleaning, and we had additional parking lots that were completed by contractors. Our former contractor would have anywhere between 3 to sometimes 1 to 3, depending on the amount of snow accumulation, working on any given day. So last night, the contractor did help us out, and they had 3 trucks out for us.
So we've hired 2 seasonal staff, but we're eliminating 3, potentially 3 people or that could be doing parking lots as well. Is that my understanding?
Through you, Madam Mayor, yes, that's correct.
So granted, we're saving some money, but I'm a little concerned how our service delivery will be improved. Can you further elaborate on that?
Yes, through you, Madam Mayor. We've found efficiencies with our tractor equipment. We have a heavy-duty tractor that is not used through the winter, and we felt that with a proper snow plow, and those are the larger area catchment plows. I'm sure you've seen them in parking lots before. They're about as wide as 3 truck plows, and the maneuverability in those tractors are far greater than what a pickup truck can allow. So we are already salting the parking lots. Our issue at this point would be to remove the snow ahead of our park staff coming in the early morning to salt them. So we feel that the 1 tractor would be able to plow at a quicker rate than the pickup trucks.
Okay, and what about the sidewalks? I know that Director Coleman even mentioned about, trying to get to them. And I know last winter we had several delegations on the state of our sidewalks and how can we ensure that our families or parents walking their kids to school, that those sidewalks will be clear? Do you think, in addition to doing all the parking lots, and respectfully prior to people arriving for work, of course, that the sidewalks will be able to be cleared for parents that have to walk their kids to school?
Through you, Madam Mayor. So we currently, our current service level is we try to meet our minimal maintenance standards laid out by the Ontario regulations. We're currently ahead of that. So we try our best to get out there as quickly as we can. We can never guarantee that we get out there before the start of school, depending on the timing of the storm, the intensity of the storm, other issues like staffing issues that we could be dealing with. We can never have a guarantee that all sidewalks would be clear before the start of school. So in terms of having having these 2 staff aboard will help dispatch the 2 sidewalk plows ahead of time versus the 1 plow that gets dispatched immediately. And with the capital budget having a 3rd sidewalk plow in place, we might be able to send that 3rd plow out a little bit sooner with a 2nd staff member out there helping out. So the dispatch, the process of dispatching the equipment would be a lot sooner and quicker. However, even with 3 plows or sidewalk plows being dispatched at 4 a.m., still probably would not guarantee that all sidewalks leading to schools are completed before 8 a.m. That's a significant ask and a hard one for equipment to get through.
Yeah, no, that's fine. And don't get me wrong. I truly think that we are doing a really good job, and I appreciate the report. I just want to be sure that we've taken everything into consideration to the best of what our resources have. So I do appreciate the report, and thank you very much.
Thank you. I don't see any further questions. My only comment would be, Mr. Frasca and Director Coleman, that if this capital budget passes tonight, that tender is ready to go out the door so that we can get that sidewalk plow in service as soon as possible. Just my comment. Thank you very much. Councillor Guido, your hand is up still. Is that from before?
Yes, it was. I'll remove it. Thank you.
That's okay. Thank you. The next, I'm sorry, we've got to vote on this. Mr. Clerk, I don't see any other questions or comments. Could you call the vote, please, on this?
Madam Mayor, the voting is open.
Thank you.
Councillor
Mr.
Watson.
Clerk, I'll vote in favor. It didn't come up. Thank
Thank you
you.
very much. And everyone's voted. I'm closing the vote now, Madam Mayor, and results should be on screen for you.
Thank you, and that's carried unanimously. Thank you very much. The next item is 10.2.2, and Councillor Brown has pulled this, but I'm going to ask if our CIO to give some opening remarks. This is the capital budget for 2021 and the 2022 to 25 capital forecast. And we're starting on page 109. Mr. CAO.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The capital budget is in front of you tonight in order that we hope we receive approval for the 2021 capital program. The majority of the work is focused on the needed infrastructure requirements to support our capital programs for roads, facilities, and equipment. Early approval of the capital budget allows staff to develop tenders and get as many tenders out to the market as possible. And this is important because generally, the earlier the tenders get to market, the better price you receive. There are many factors affecting the price of work, but as contractors and companies look at filling their available time and workload at the beginning of the year, they're willing to give more competitive pricing at the beginning in order to book line up their work early for the year. Although bidding late does not mean that prices for sure will be higher. History tends to support the benefit of earlier bidding. Since the majority of the contractor scheduled work is taken, they will take other work if the price is worth it. And as a result, they often submit higher bids so that if they win, they make a good profit. And if they don't, they still have a good book of work in their stable. It should be noted that this approval does not lock council into any specific target option. Council will have the ability to determine which target they choose at a future meeting, and staff believes that the majority of the projects identified for 2021 should be able to proceed despite which option will be chosen by council. Realistically, if we do have to adjust any capital projects, it will be relatively minor projects for 2021 that would have to be pushed off, and staff would advise council when we proceed or when we return with the report on actions to receive the target. So the capital program in front of you deals with the 2021 budget, which is important to get underway, but also provides a view of what we would hope to achieve over the next 5 years in total. With that, Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much, Mr. CAO. And Councillor Brown, you pulled this. You have a question, or did you wish to move it?
Just I can move it.
Okay. And you don't have any other questions?
Well, yeah, I just had a comment. I had my 4 pages of questions answered earlier, so I don't have to worry about that. And I do want to thank the staff, and I do want to thank the CAO because it's a tremendous amount of work. Terry, for one, I have a cursory understanding of how hard you guys work on something like this, and then to have it sent back and ask for changes makes it most doubly difficult, I'm sure. But I just want to say thank you from this end because you do great work and we really appreciate it. I just have a comment, and that's it's on page 2 of 4 of the capital budget and forecast. And I just want to, I can read part of it to you. The only change that was made to the draft capital budget is the outdoor pickleball courts construction's been moved from 2021 to 2022. I know that they're an ever-growing, even in these days, although it's difficult to play pickleball. The sport is growing, and more people are playing, more younger people are playing, and I just want to encourage the pickleball people to keep it up and fight the good fight, and hopefully we'll have courts for you coming in 2022. That's it. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Brown. I believe that I need a seconder for this, but I just make a comment on that. I believe that having a grant application completed is not in the near future. That the pickleball people were compiling this grant application, and it doesn't appear like it would be ready in time. And I think that's probably the basic reason why it's put off till the 2022. Can I have a seconder for the motion on the capital budget, please? Councillor Kieserbrink, your hand is up. Is that to?
Yes, Madam Mayor, and I have a friendly amendment as well.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just in speaking with our acting finance director, Terry, and with our CAO, Mr. Nix, today, just wanted to add a little bit of verbiage to point 2, which is that understanding the budgetary target is subject to change. The rest the same. The 2021 capital budget and the amount of $5,925,200 be approved as detailed in attachment 1 of this report. And then at the end, and any changes required as a result of a finalization of the target be identified when the target is considered. And this is just further to the motion that was passed by council, that was passed today in our consent agenda. Just in reflecting the fact that we are still giving consideration to the total tax target, but we wanted staff to be able to have the time that they need to look at all the options, because this is a pandemic year and there's a lot of challenges that we all face. So we just wanted to add that friendly amendment, just so it's very clear that we're not making that decision right now, that we're approving these capital items in order that we can get the tendering moving forward and not inhibit staff from doing their work, but at the same time recognizing that that's still ahead of us to finalize that budgetary target.
Thank you. As the mover of the motion, Councillor Brown, would you take this as a friendly amendment?
Well, yeah, certainly. That's fine.
Okay, thank you. I just want to point out, if you look on page 3 of 4 or page 111 of your agenda package, that all of the projects, like the total capital budget is $5,925,200. And if you look on page, as I say, 111 or page 3 of 4, all of that is coming out of reserves or grants or other contributions. It does not, and I'll ask our acting director of finance to comment. Am I correct in that it does not affect the levy? This is money that we put in the reserves from the 2020 budget mainly for roads, sidewalks, other items like that, plus the other 2 levy amounts that we added for facilities and so on. Am I correct that this entire amount does not affect the levy? It comes from reserves.
Through you, Madam Mayor. Well, we do that number. Our total reserves for the roads does include the 3% not quite approved yet, but there should be enough money inside the reserve at this time from previous deposits from previous years to cover what the projects are for this year.
Thank you. Yes, thank you very much. I just don't want the public to think of all of the great things that are in this capital budget and think that that's coming off their tax bill next year. So thank you very much.
Just can I add one thing? Sorry,
Yes.
Madam Mayor.
Mhm.
But I did include some of the money in there as well as the 3%. If we don't get that full 3%, we may have to go back and look exactly at each of the projects to make sure that there is enough funding, because the money that I provided as a balance that can be spent definitely has that 3% in there. So it's something that we would have to look at if the 3% is not passed. But if 2.5 or 2 is, then definitely the money is in there.
Thank you.
You may have to go back and look. Sorry.
Okay, thank you very much. Director Newman, I see your hand is up. Clerk, Mr. Clerk.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. If I could just get Councillor Kiesebrink's amendment read and just a bit with regards to the motion slowly, just so I can capture it, that would be appreciated.
No problem. It's just the point 2. We're just adding the statement that understanding the budgetary target is subject to change.
Sorry, starting from like the beginning.
So Ms. Barton's motion is in 3 parts. The first part is the same. So it's just the second part. Prior to that, the second part, just to add the statement that understanding the budgetary target is subject to change. And then the rest of Ms. Barton's statement is intact, and then just adding to the end of where she has report, the finishing statement, and any changes required as a result of a finalization of the target be identified when the target is considered. This is an amendment that was after consultation with our CAO and with Ms. Barton. Basically, it's just trying to bring last week and this week together. Just have to look. That's perfect. Thank you.
No problem.
Okay, thank you. Anything further, Councillor Kiesebrink?
No, that's wonderful, and thank you very much to everyone for their hard work.
Thank you. Councillor McDougall.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. I was just looking for maybe some input from Director Terry from Finance. Just with regards to the cancellation of the pickleball, what does that do to the overall budget number in terms of the levy?
Through you, Madam Mayor, to the councillor. So moving the pickleball to 2022, basically the only amount that the township was responsible for was the $50,000 that we moved. The rest was grant based. So moving the $50,000 does not change any of the tax levy, because we're basically, we're not spending that money, but we still have it earmarked. So we still want to have it available to us at that time. So it's not like we're going to use it for anything else. So it doesn't really affect the levy at this time, because that's something that we would look at in 2022. It does mean that technically we don't need the money in 2021, but we will want to still be able to have the ability to have it available in 2022.
Further, Councillor McDougall?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. So if we're moving it from 2021 to 2022, does that mean it impacts the levy in 2022, but not in 2021? So in effect, there's $50,000 or 50 over whatever our 1% is for the year already moving towards the target that we previously discussed?
Through you, Madam Mayor, to the councillor. In a way, it does. We want to make sure, because that money comes out of our facilities and building, we want to make sure that we do have enough. So the levy, in a way, it's kind of affected, but not. I'm not sure the quite way to put it, but if we don't have the money available in 2022, we wouldn't be able to, I guess, do that. But we do have enough money in there at that point for that $50,000, even without the special levy, I believe. I would have to go back and check. It's not something that we looked at the say. Did you want to add anything, Mr. CFO, to explain it a bit better?
If I may, Madam Mayor.
Yes, please. Yes.
An individual project being in this year's budget or next year's budget does not affect the levy requirements. We have more demands over the long term than we can afford. So what it does is it just affects the ending balance of your reserve this year versus next. Over the next 2 years, it's a moot point. We don't budget based on an annual. We don't budget based on our annual spending, because you would constantly be adjusting your capital program up and down. We budget based on the program that we can do within the funding and resources available, and we recognize, this council has recognized that we need to continually increase it. So whether we spend that $50,000 this year or next year, it has no effect on the requirement for the levy on an ongoing basis. Yeah, I hope that helps.
I would just like to add, if I may, on page 368, it says that that $50,000 is from a reserve, the facility and building reserve. So as long as if there's that money in the reserve, that's where it would be taken from, not from the levy directly. Okay. Anything further, Councillor McDougall?
No, no, I just would like to clarify one thing. The reserves that we keep discussing, are they not contributed to by taxpayers?
Yes, they are. They are part of that long-term asset management plan that has been studied and identified as being deficient to the tune of $100 million or more, $190 million in total. Between the three assets. So yes, it is part of what we're trying to build by upping these contributions or continuing annual increases to these reserve funds over the longer term.
You will see that many of our reserve funds come from like an environmental solar reserve that doesn't come from the levy. Self-insurance loss reserve basically doesn't come from the levy. There are the DCs do not come from the levy. And there are, what is the federal gas tax reserve also does not come from taxpayers, the levy. Okay, anything further, Councillor McDougall?
No, that's all, Madam Mayor. It's just I've had several taxpayers contact me with regards to our levy this year, and with regards to, generally speaking, they've been older adults and on pension, and they're looking at our increase this year and just asking me a lot of questions. That's all. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you. And I have Councillor Watton, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And if I may, just further to Councillor Kiesebrink's amendment, should we make that amendment? Like in the discussion portion of the report, it speaks to trying to achieve a 5%. Now, that 5% could be achieved through a reduction of one of those special levies, the 4% that we are currently collecting to try and address our deficits, or it could be contributed to by a reduction in operation. Is that correct?
That's correct. To you, Madam Mayor, that's correct. Most
Yep.
likely it'll be a combination of all of the above because with the pressures that we're facing and the limited flexibility that exists, I don't believe from what I saw there's an ability to take it from one specific area. We do strongly believe in the importance of the long-term contribution towards our assets, so we would minimize those that impact as little as possible.
So my concern would be having worked hard to start and achieve all the accomplishments we have on our roads that and also, you know, all the addressing residents' concerns with our roads, that to reduce that could put us much further behind than if we continue to do that. So, but I also, correct me if I'm wrong, I understood that in a overall view, our operational expenses, et cetera, should be closer to a 3%. And we have set it at 2% at this point. So in essence, we are currently asking either to reduce one of those levies, the 3% or the 0.5 or the 0.5, or we are looking at an operational which would seriously affect our service delivery. Am I correct in those comments?
That's correct. That's why we asked for the ability to go back and review all the options we had so that we could come back to council with a fair direction in terms of how we could achieve the reduction. And in reality, you can't take it from one area. We're going to have to do a bit from all around. But we do not want to impact the capital much. We'll only do what we need to from the capital.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Watton. Councillor Ross?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just a question for Mr. Nix. I had a conversation with Mr. Nix earlier today about this, and I think it may be helpful for the rest of council just to fill them in as to what you told me over the phone in regards to what the expectation is when it comes to looking at the operating budget. Correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding is that we'll be presented with, excuse me, two budgets in essence, one at 6% and one at 5%, with the 5% showing the additional cuts or reductions that are necessary. Is that correct? And maybe you could speak to that.
That's a simplification of it, but you know, conceptually correct. You know, we'll be getting to 6% and indicating if we had to take any extraordinary items to get to 6%, we would indicate that to council. But we would then talk about what else we could do to get to a lower amount. And in reality, you know, we do have to look at all the options. There may be something that that can help contribute, but there's no magic bullet, and we'll have to bring forward a fair and balanced approach to get to 5%, but let council understand what that means so you can make an informed choice in terms of what you would like to do.
Great, thank you. I think that's what, when we spoke about this last week, that was the important part of introducing the 5% was so that there's no assumptions made as to, you know, services will be cut and that was the end of the conversation. It was actual tangible items that we could see going forward. So excellent. I look forward to that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Watton. Oh, did you leave your hand up, Councillor Watton? Oh.
No, I put it up again.
Okay. Okay, go ahead.
Just a quick question. Approval of these recommendations, will that impact, I know it will impact some of the, possibly some of the capital moving forward, but is it something that if we wait till February when the operating budget comes out, that it is something we need to be concerned about?
No, we do not believe so. We believe that there's any, at this point, we believe that if there's any impact on what is being proposed to the capital budget, be relatively minor, and we'd be able to identify that when we come forward with ways to get down.
Terrific, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Guido.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and Councillor Watton took my question, so thank you for that, Councillor Watton, but I will just add a comment. I fully appreciate, as I said last council meeting, that staff have put in an incredible amount of time into this, but we will see later on in the council agenda where us as council have a proposed motion for an effort to help reduce the impact to our residents. And I think it would be disingenuous to that motion if we didn't also expect the same thing with our budget and have a look and see how we can assist with impacting our residents and our businesses who are, as we've moved into the red, they are fighting tooth and nail, some of our businesses, to stay afloat. So the least that we could do is to offer alternatives to council as to a 5 or a 6% and what that impact would be. But I just can't see this not being supported, yet us as council are looking to make a change as well. So I think they really do go hand in hand. And thank you to the finance staff and all of staff for putting together a budget. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Guido. Councillor McDougall, your hand is still up. Is this another question?
No, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Just I hate to hear 6% going around it. Really, I think what the public is interested in, because it's very confusing, but the public is interested in how it's going to affect their tax bill. So if I look at page 112 in the agenda, if this the budget is approved, the capital budget along with the operating budget as anticipated, at the 6%, it is actually 1.8% when you factor in the other levels of government that also we collect taxes for. Is that correct, Ms. Barton and Mr. CAO? $1, 1.8% or $6.90 a month.
It's 1.8% on your overall property tax bill.
Right.
It is not 6% on your overall property tax bill.
Yeah, it's the 6% that gets all the news and the hype, but it's actually 1.8% on your tax bill. And I know that council is aware of this. I just want the public that's listening and the media that's listening to understand that it is an impact of 1.8% on the average tax bill. Okay, thank you. I don't see any other questions on this budget. I got a mover and a seconder. Are we ready to call the question? Mr. Clerk.
Madam Mayor, the voting is open.
Thank you.
I'll vote in favor, Mr. Clerk. It's Wilma.
Thank you, Councillor Watton. Closing the vote now, Madam Mayor, and it should be on screen for you.
Thank you, and that's carried unanimously. Thank you very, very much, Council. Excellent questions and excellent process that we went through, and really want to thank all of staff and headed up by Ms. Barton and our CAO and all of senior staff. So thank you, everyone, for all the effort that's gone into getting together this capital budget, and we look forward to the work getting done. We look forward to those tenders going out tomorrow, and we look forward to the next part of the operating budget. So thank you again to everyone. Thank you, Council. The next item is just a moment, please. Oh, the correspondence, 10.3.1. I actually asked that to be pulled, and it is quite a lengthy letter. I don't think I need to go over it. I will be asking, first of all, for a motion to endorse the resolution that is given as an example on page 392, and that is to support the Lake Simcoe Conservation Authority and all the conservation authorities in Ontario on their concerns about the Bill 229. Are there any questions? Councillor Kieserbrink, I see your hands up. Are you making the motion?
Yes, Madam Mayor.
And Councillor McDougall, you
Yes,
seconded?
I will second that. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions or comments? Councillor or Director Heritage, Councillor Kieserbrink, do you have a question?
No, Madam Mayor, I was just raising my hand to make the motion.
Okay, thank you. Director Heritage, did you have any comments on this?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, I do. A couple of comments. Bill 229. It's an act to implement budget measures and to enact, amend, and repeal various statutes. And one of the major concerns from a municipality's perspective is that there are new appeal process proposed, which will significantly slow down the permitting process, creating delays and more red tape. We rely on permits in response to development applications, and the process is somewhat slow right now due to staffing concerns. But with this new bill coming through, it's known as Schedule 6 and Bill 229. It will further delay that permitting process. If applicants are not satisfied with decisions of the conservation authorities, the new changes will allow applicants to appeal directly to the minister, who could make his or her own decision and issue a permit. In addition, the applicant has the ability to appeal a decision of the conservation authority to LPAT. So it's just going to lengthen the timing and process to get development applications through the process. It's going to add a substantial amount of time. And yes, I share the concerns of both the Lake Simcoe Conservation Authority, and we have received correspondence from CLOCA, the Central Lake Ontario Conservation Authority. They're recommending that Schedule 6 of this bill be removed. This bill has received its first reading in the legislature on November 5th, 2020. So I certainly agree with their comments. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Director Heritage. And I know that Conservation Ontario, I'm not sure if they're sending out their submission to the government, directly to the government, or whether they're sending it to all conservation authorities. But there's a great deal of concern throughout Ontario from conservation authorities and from municipalities. So thank you very much for your comments, Director Heritage. Are there any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Mr. Clerk, will you call the question?
Yes, Madam Mayor, I can. Can I just get, clarification first? You just motioned to receive and endorse this, or did you want to pass the motion that is within the correspondence?
Sort of receive and endorse.
Okay, thank you very much.
I think is that the mover and the seconder? Is that what you wish? Yeah, the mover and seconder.
Madam Mayor, could I ask Director Heritage what course of action would have the most clout?
Through you, Madam Mayor, to the councillor, I think that would have the most clout in supporting the recommendation from the Conservation Authority.
Thank you. Okay with the seconder?
Yes, Madam Mayor, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Clerk?
Voting is now open, Madam Mayor. And seeing that everyone has voted, I'm closing the vote now, and it should be on screen for you momentarily.
Thank you for your support of that motion. Yes, that's carried unanimously. Thank you. We'll move now. There's no items for separate discussion. Move now to item number 12, the notice of motion. Councillor Watton. seconded by Councillor Kiesebrink. Please go ahead, Councillor Watton.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Did you want me to read it? I'd have to find it.
Oh, would you like me to read it for you?
Just bear with me. I think I have it pulled up here. I just I have to get to it from a different way. No, I have it. So I can read it, Madam Mayor. Thank you, though. Whereas the COVID-19 pandemic continues to negatively impact economic realities for residents, businesses, nonprofit organizations, and charities now and into the foreseeable future, and whereas Scugog Council wishes to support our community throughout this crisis by continuing to provide critical municipal programs and services to the community, and whereas a Citizens Committee for Council Remuneration was formed to determine fair and appropriate compensation levels for Scugog Council members in 2016, and whereas through their findings, the Citizens Committee recommended solutions to reflect reasonable compensation for Council's duties and to bring remuneration into line with comparator communities, and whereas Scugog Council respects the research and ultimate recommendations from the Citizens Committee, and a freeze in wages will have a long-term impact on the base remuneration for Council members and again create inequities. Now therefore be it resolved that Council members support the donation of their 2021 cost of living increase back to the municipality to reduce the 2021 tax impact for Scugog Township. That's my motion, Madam Mayor.
And do you have any other comments that you would like to make? As a mover?
Well, I think it's quite self-explanatory through my motion, but I do want to impress that I feel firmly that we would be moving backwards if we were to do a full freeze. And I also think that I know that originally I thought it would be good to donate it to a charity of choice, but I think that it is better to donate it back to the township so that it can go into our revenue, and it does create a just a source of revenue, and so it is fully part of for all taxpayers as opposed to a charity of choice. And thirdly, I don't think it's prudent of me to try and direct any councillor where they should put their money specifically in respect to a charity. So those are my comments, and that's why I chose to suggest that it go back into the municipal revenue stream, and that that way the amount that is there can be applied for all taxpayers. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Those are my comments.
Thank you. Councillor Kiesebrink, you seconded the motion. Did you wish to speak?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. I just really appreciate Councillor Watton's heart and her thoughts. These have been extremely difficult and painful times for so many people. It's hard because the services that we, that the township has to provide, all of those services cost more, gravel costs more. So we're all affected by this. This is really just, it's a token gesture, but what it does is it creates a revenue neutral scenario. The money goes right back in, so it's a non-impact to the taxpayer, and I think then each of us can contribute to any charity of our choice, but the net effect for the taxpayer is a net zero, and that's really what we're trying to do is to make it a net zero impact for the taxpayer, and it's just a gesture on our part just to say we hear, we understand, and we're all in the same boat together. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions or comments? Councillor Brown.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you, and thanks to Councillor Watton for bringing this up, and thanks to Councillor Kiesebrink for her comments. They kind of got out ahead of me a little bit because we've been emailing back and forth. I'm one of those people who I have no problem in donating back, but I'd like to donate back to the community by donating the money to the food bank. These are lean times for all of us, and especially for food banks, and especially here in Scugog. I think the last I heard they were under 30% the shelves full, and they're in constant need. And here's an opportunity for us to take money that we can use to benefit the community by benefiting those who, in my estimation anyway, they are among those who need the help the most. So with all due respect to the two previous speakers, I would like to see it donated to the food bank, where I think it'll do more good.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Councillor Ross.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you to Councillor Watton. I had a good discussion with Councillor Watton a couple weeks ago in regards to this when it first came up, and I have a bit of a different view on it. I support council giving back to the community 100%, but I don't support this motion because I don't believe that it actually gives back to the community. I think that it's a gesture, and that's fine, and I think there's times for gestures. How be it, though, that I don't think this is time for one. And I know that this is a trend that's happened, I believe it started in Ajax, and most recently with the region and Clarington as well, adopting the same kind of motion. But I think anybody who's in actual need of help and support right now due to the pandemic doesn't need a gesture. They need actual action to take place. So I understand that identifying a charity for this it does not work exactly, but I think that the money that council will be donating back to the township could do a lot more good in the actual community. And whether it's Operation Scugog for food banks, that's one thing, but there are a lot of people that are hurting in different areas. There's food banks, but I can go on and on with the Scugog and Durham charities and nonprofits that need help, whether it's mental health issues or increase in domestic violence because of the pandemic. There are a lot of needs out there. So for council to have to be directed towards an exact charity, I think we all have our own charities or organizations that are close to our hearts, or perhaps close to our wards, that has a relation to our ward that we represent. But I think we can do more than this. I think a gesture is fine, but I think we can do more with this money as individual councillors who are obviously invested in this community. We took this position up because we care about our neighbor as much as we care about our ward. And I want to do some actual good here. And I think, although a gesture is fine, I think we can do more than just a gesture right now.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments? Councillor McDougall.
Yes, sorry. Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm just wondering if I can hear from the Director of Finance in terms of what is the financial impact to our taxpayers should we forego this?
Ms. Barton?
Yeah, through you, Madam Mayor, to the councillor. So the actual impact to the bottom line expenses is at 0.02%. To the that's how much it will affect the tax levy of 0.02%.
Sorry, through you, Madam Mayor, just in dollars and cents, how much money would we be giving back to every taxpayer in Scugog then?
It comes to about $4,200. I don't have it directly in front of me, but when I did calculate it, it was around 4,200, I believe.
$4,128.70.
Oh, there you go. Yes. Thank you.
And then, sorry, through you, Madam Mayor, and then that's divided amongst all of the ratepayers in the municipality?
Correct.
And what would that amount to?
I have not calculated that amount. It's so small, it's cents to each taxpayer.
And this is, we have no possible way to actually direct that specifically to the taxpayers that actually need the help the most when we give this back to the municipality?
Unfortunately not, no. It would be spread throughout every single taxpayer.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Guido?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you to Ms. Barton, should this motion pass, exactly where would the 4,100 and change, where would it go in respect to offsetting our costs? Which costs would be able to be identified with that?
Through you, Madam Mayor, to the councillor. So we wouldn't identify an exact cost. Basically, we have a neutral budget line. So we would have an expense for that 4,100 or 4128, and then we'd have an offsetting revenue for 4128. So the actual impact to the tax levy would be zero.
Right.
So it wouldn't be donated to any sort separate line. It would just be, I guess, in and out.
In and out, and thank you. So would it be used for capital, for operating, or we still wouldn't know where we would realize that 4127?
I believe it would sit in the operating side.
In the operating
So
side.
yes, it would reduce our operating budget.
Thank you. And I do have to echo what Councillor Brown said, and Councillor Ross. There are many needs in this community, and I wish the savings would have been far greater, and that it would have made a large impact on our levy and then therefore to our operating. I strongly feel that $4,100 would have a great impact on the shelves of a food bank or any other charity that really truly needs it, as opposed to back into our operating budget, where sadly $4,100 would easily be consumed up by very, very quickly. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Kiesebrink.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I guess I just don't feel comfortable essentially giving ourselves a cost of living raise and then taking that money and making a donation with it, because we're making a donation from other people's money. So I would rather do what Councillor Watton is suggesting, which means freeze it. So there is no raise, so there is no impact to the constituents. And of course, if council still would like to make a donation to the food bank, we can, but it shouldn't be give ourselves a raise and take that money and give it away. That seems, I don't feel comfortable doing that. I'd rather give something that costs me something, not give something away that costs the taxpayer something. And that's why I'm not comfortable. And I'd prefer the freeze.
Thank you. Anything further? I don't have any others. Oh, Councillor Brown.
Through you, Madam Mayor, I think we need to understand that this is a raise that we would be getting anyway. So we're gonna either donate the money back to the township, or else we're going to donate the money to a charity, or perhaps something else, as Councillor Ross has suggested. So it is our money. It's the taxpayers' money, but it becomes our money when we get paid in salary. So it's our salary that we're donating back. That should be made clear. Thank you.
Councillor Watton.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And I appreciate all the comments and respect all the thoughts that have gone into this. My greater concern is, personally, we can all take the raise to Councillor Brown's comments, but we cannot tell someone where to spend their money. And that's the part I struggle with. I mean, if we want to do this and donate back to the township, and then you know, each of us can make a commitment to donate somewhere our own funds. I'm with Councillor Kiesebrink on that. I just don't feel comfortable making a choice between one or the other of a charity. As everyone has said, everyone is in need. And, you know, we also have the how do we choose? And that's a big concern. I mean, North House does supportive housing. There are hundreds of people that are getting homeless because of COVID. So how do we choose who we would donate to? And I think we have to be cognizant of that as well. As Councillor Ross said, the mental health issues are exponential right now. And you know, there's organizations that contribute to that. So how do we choose which one is more important? I think this is and again, it is a gesture, but I think if we want to be bigger than the gesture, then I think the onus falls on each councillor to do that individually. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Ross? No. Are you speaking, Councillor Ross, or did you have your hand up from before?
Sorry, I was having a great conversation with myself, apparently.
Oh.
I just, to echo Councillor Watton's remarks, I do understand that and wholly support that we cannot and have no place in telling a councillor where to put their money or to where to donate it. But I think that money in the hands of an individual councillor is, without emotion or direction, is far more impactful than to give it back to the great machine that is the township, where, you know, as Ms. Barton said, it's sense. It doesn't impact anybody. I think we need to know our lane and do the best that we can with the influence that we have, and that is in what we've just dealt with earlier tonight in regards to the budget. We can make far more of an impact, you know, with a 1% decrease than we can with giving what is called a raise out back to the township. So the gesture is nice again, but I think that that money can go a lot further where it actually counts, where we're actually helping people as opposed to a gesture. Thank you.
Councillor Guido.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And before the vote is called, and no matter how it goes, I think all of us as council collectively want the good for the municipality. And by no means voting in support or non-support, I don't think is a reflection on who we are as individuals and how we want to give back to our community. I think the important point of this is making an impact in our community, and if that means keeping our increase and shopping local, that impact, in my opinion, will be far greater than a few cents saved by each taxpayer. So I apologize in advance if my vote does not agree with certain people in our community, but I think we need to do more for our community right now. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Guido. And I'd just like to have finance comment on this, either our CAO or Ms. Barton, on our ability to do anything other than what this motion says. And in fact, are we able to do what this motion says? Mr. CAO, could you comment?
I can, Madam Mayor. The motion, as Councillor Watton put it, was designed to be symbolic, but also to protect the integrity of the equity work that had been done by a citizens panel making recommendations on how council salary should compare to other comparables. So that's why the effort was to protect the base. If council decides to donate individually to whatever their charity is, they are more than welcome to. It will not reduce the tax base, but it is also symbolic. So it is more of a political decision in the end, because the first, or Councillor Watton recommendation would reduce the budget by about $4,000. But realistically, if council feels strongly that it should be going to a different chair or should be used differently, they always have the ability to donate to individual charities, or I believe there's a community grants program here that might be a valid recipient. There's a number of options, but the other options will not create savings on the tax base.
So, Mr. CAO, if we were to direct that $4,100 and so on to the grants committee, as long as it's within the scope for organizations to apply to, as long as it's within the scope of the policy of the grants committee. Would that be something that the township can do, like legally, and as far as the the rules and regulations around finance, could that be done? And then organizations like Operation Scugog and many other organizations that have been hit hard or support people who have been hit hard by the pandemic. Is that something that could be done?
If council voluntarily directed this year's increase to those places, yes, you couldn't get council directing people who did not want to do it, or else it wouldn't be a voluntary contribution. So if council all decided to do it, that would be very within the bounds. If council decided to donate to their own individual charity, that would be in the bounds. But you could not have 5 councillors directing the remaining councillors. That is not. It has to be a voluntary contribution.
But would the township facilitate that, or do you want it all in? I mean, what are you suggesting?
The ideal thing is if council could voluntarily come to an individual or come to agreement voluntarily on somewhere to donate it to, or make a commitment individually to donate their funds to their own charities. Either one of those would be appropriate.
So if they take the second choice to send their increase to the township would not facilitate that. That's my understanding.
That's correct.
Okay, so applying the $4,000 to the grants committee, that is something that the township can facilitate. Finance can facilitate.
As long as it's voluntary, we can do that.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Guido, your hand's up. Is this from before? Or?
It's down now. Thank you.
Okay. I don't have any amendments. The motion stands as it is, and if there are no speakers, I will call on the clerk to call the vote. I don't see any speakers, so Councillor Brown. Just a moment, Mr. Clerk.
Sorry, if it's possible, I'd like to propose an amendment to this so that we donate the amount of money that we're talking about here, 4,100 and change, to the Operation Scugog as a group.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder for that amendment? I'm sorry, you don't have a seconder, Councillor Brown.
It's okay, thanks anyway.
Okay. So back to the main motion. And Mr. Clerk, will you call a vote, please?
Voting is open, Madam Mayor.
Thank you.
I'll vote in support. It's not coming up. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Lutton. Madam Mayor, seeing that everyone has voted, I'm closing the vote now, and results should be on screen.
Thank you. The motion is lost. So thank you very much, members of council. There is an item of new business and general information, and I think that Councillor Brown has he's indicated he wanted to speak at this point.
Thank you, and through you, Madam Mayor, just to clarify, I did get in touch with Brigitte McLeod of the BIA asking about Healthy Lake Scugog and the committee there. Her response, I have no update. No member volunteered to fill that position, and there is a limit on how many committees a member can serve on. I offered to be the rep, but because I am on the EDAC committee, was not allowed. We realized the importance of the committee. but that we are already volunteering a lot of our time and trying to run businesses as well. So there's your answer for that.
Okay, thank you very much. With regard to the previous motion that was defeated, I know, and I'm not blowing my own horn here, but I know that this year I have stepped up my contributions to different organizations, especially in town, and I would just encourage everyone to do the same. So thank you for that. Thank you for offering, allowing me to express that. There is no other business, and I will ask for a motion on the confirming bylaw, please. Councillor McDougall and Councillor Ross. Questions or comments? Seeing none, Mr. Clerk, will you call the vote, please?
Voting is open, Madam Mayor.
Mr. Clerk, I'll vote in favor.
Thank you, Councillor Councillor Watton, sorry. Voting is closed, Madam Mayor, and should be on screen for you.
Thank you. Carried unanimously, and I'll call for a motion to adjourn. Councillor Guido, seconder. Councillor Brown. And Mr. Clerk, will you call the vote, please?
Voting is now open. Just could be coming up here momentarily. Councillor Watton.
Again, Mr. Clerk, in favor.
Thank you very much, and closing the vote. And that should be on screen for you now.
Thank you, and that is carried. Once again, thank you, staff, for all the work. This is a long agenda, a lot of work, tremendous reports. And again, thank you for all the work done on the capital budget, and we certainly look forward to the operational budget coming forward. Thank you, Council, for great input during this meeting, and I will wish you all a good night.